worth up to $1 million.
At the least, we would like a situation as the Canadians and Australians some have got, as the Americans and all the other nations have got, where they are allowed to endorse products and make a bit of money out of the sport. The whole team is pretty aggravated that we are lacking behind all the other smooth nations, mainly. The difference is that Victor stood on the block with a contract of maybe $250,000, and I stood on there with my Dole money and a sports aid grant for $2,500.
But for the moment, Morehouse will have to settle for gold instead of cash. Jeremy Thompson, ITN Sport in Edinburgh.
The Pope has condemned what he called the blind violence of Lebanon, where more than 50 people have died in car bombs within 24 hours. His comments came at his general audience at the Vatican this morning when he met the American priest, Father Lawrence Jenco, released after 18 months in captivity in Lebanon. Father Jenco took with him a message from his captors and was to discuss the fate of the remaining hostages. He's on his way to London to see the Archbishop of Canterbury, whose special envoy Terry Waite is travelling with him.
Father Jenco had spent the night in seclusion and prayer, drawing strength, he said, from the Holy City where he was ordained 26 years ago. But he is still in poor health, and always by his side was the comforting support of Terry Waite, who has guided him through the trauma of adjusting to freedom.
How do you feel today, Father Jenco?
I feel shaky.
Are you excited about meeting the Pope?
I sure am.
Have you ever met him before?
I met him in the refugee camps in Panatnikum, Thailand, as I worked with refugees for the release of the refugees, the Vietnamese Cambodian refugees in Thailand. That was my job prior to coming to Lebanon.
Are you going to have any special message for him this morning, sir?
I will.
Can you tell us what that will be?
No.
Have a good day, sir.
And it was Terry Waite who brought about this private audience with the Pope through his personal connections with the Vatican. Before he became the Archbishop of Canterbury's special envoy, he worked here for 8 years as international consultant on missionary work for the Roman Catholic Church. After his public audience, the Pope met Father Jenco privately and was given a message from the Lebanese militiamen who held him hostage for 19 months. Father Jenco said yesterday he wants the Pope to join negotiations for the release of the remaining hostages. Anne Lucas, News at 1, Rome.
Here, river police on the Thames have joined the search for Miss Suzy Lamplugh, the estate agent who disappeared on Monday after showing a man round a house that's for sale in Shorrells Road in West London. Her car was found that night in Stevenage Road near the river. She lived in Disraeli Road, across the river from Fulham.
Police today issued this artist's impression of the man they fear lured Suzy Lamplugh to an empty house in Fulham. He's of medium build, white and aged between 25 and 30. This morning, police with dogs continued their search of open spaces in the area, including a large cemetery not far from where Suzy's car was found abandoned on Monday night. Detectives today renewed their appeal for any help from members of the public who may have seen the man with Suzy in her white Fiesta car. They're disappointed at the public response so far, but accept that Suzy and the mystery caller may not have been acting in a manner which would have attracted attention. It's now more than 48 hours since Suzy was seen by her colleagues leaving her estate agency office, and police are becoming increasingly concerned. They're contacting other estate agents in the area to see if they received suspicious calls recently. The chilling aspect of this case is just how easy it was for an anonymous caller to draw a single woman into a situation where she was so vulnerable. Today, Suzy was due to have celebrated her mother's 50th birthday. Her family are in constant contact with the police, but as the hunt continues, detectives are now fearful for her life. John Draper, News at 1, West London.
The Home Office is considering beefing up the fight against crime by buying a revolutionary computer system that'll speed up police fingerprinting techniques. The very latest microcomputer technology would enable police to identify criminals far more quickly than at present, even with only fragmented prints, and that will save valuable man-hours.
The ability to analyse fingerprints is a vital weapon in the policeman's armoury. At present, most police forces rely on manual techniques to help them match a telltale print to a possible name. Scotland Yard does have a computer, but it only deals with around 100,000 prints. There are nearly 4 million on file. So the Home Office is now considering a system using these, transputers. They're computers mounted on tiny chips which can carry out millions of instructions every second. The system is still being developed, but this is how it works. An ordinary fingerprint or part of one is read by what's called an encoder. It breaks down the swirling lines and ridges into a sort of graph, showing how far each is from the next, how long the ridges are, and so on. That information is converted into a binary code, which is a string of numbers, zeros and ones, which are stored in the computer's memory. It takes less than 4 seconds. The computer can then scan through its memory at a very high speed to match any new print with the millions already on file, saving hours of manual labour.
Most fingerprint systems in this country operate on a manual system. This is wasteful as far as experienced manpower is concerned. In equipment like this, you can reduce the number of comparisons you have to make, and means that you can really get to the criminal, if it's possible, far faster. If you can get to the criminal faster, you can stop his activities, you can stop receivers, all sorts of things like that.
The Home Office haven't made up their minds yet. They want to be absolutely certain that if they do commission a computerised system, it will always be better than the existing manual techniques which have won worldwide respect. Robin White, News at 1, Central London.
An early warning system to detect cancer even before it's suspected has been developed in a London hospital. The machine, which can spot potential cancer cells at an earlier stage than other methods, is being used for routine cervical and breast cancer screening. But researchers say it could be adapted to all forms of cancer.
Dr. Andrew Jenco believes he's found a new test for cancer. So far, he's tried it out on cells taken from smear tests with a 95% success rate. He quite literally stains the cells and waits for a colour change. But then, instead of looking at that through a microscope, the only way at the moment, he's perfected a machine which views the samples,